Hey there, John Gums with Bill here. Bill Holton from Dakota Grappler coming to you tonight. Talk a little bit of wrestling we got going this weekend, and I got to see some high school wrestling in Minot. Pretty excited for the show tonight. Basically, we're going to talk a little bit about upcoming rankings. We're also going to give an opportunity to talk a little bit of college wrestling tonight and what's happening this weekend. And other than that, I'm excited to be here. And again, we're wrestling season's going. I was really impressed. I'm going to start this off right away with you, Bill, on some of the Carrington wrestlers. And I'll talk about some of the results from Minot. But you know what? They've got a couple healthy kids that are going to do some damage this year. So, again, introduce yourself, and then we'll get going. Again, I'm John Gums, owner and editor of Dakota Grappler. If you're first time on here, make sure you go down on the bottom, hit subscribe. We're trying to get a goal of 1,000 subscribers because it really changes the channel as that goes. And slowly but surely, we're getting there, getting more and more on. But I'm going to have a lot of content as the season goes. I'm trying to get 2 videos, minimum a week, plus some live content over the weekends because I'll be at wrestling tournaments every weekend. I'll have Bill introduce himself, and then we will talk some wrestling.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks, John. This is Bill Holton here. I live here near Carrington, North Dakota. Grew up in North Dakota as a high school wrestler and did a little bit of coaching and raised a wrestling son. So I've been involved in the sport for a long time and just love to watch, follow, and talk about wrestling. It was nice to see the high school season gets started in North Dakota this weekend up at Minot. I wasn't able to be up there, and it was great to be able to follow some of, besides the track wrestling site, but also be able to follow your video and commentary from up there. Really, really was helpful. So,
well, I tell you what, I'm still working on the technology side, but having a webcam, not too bad from a distance. I'm working on some, let's say I do have a different new microphone I picked up so I can have something there and we don't have all the background noise. I'm guessing I could have wore some headphones and that would also worked. I look back at some of the video and it's not great quality, guys, but at least there was some wrestling action out there. I did an interview with Dixon. I'm going to try to clean up. I'm going to cut it out of one of the videos. Very great guy from Turtle Mountain, head wrestling coach for 40 some years. And I think he said 47, which is crazy number. And, give him a hard time, but he's a super good guy. Really impressed with a lot of the teams. You know, we had Minot Bishop Ryan there. We had Carrington, St. Mary's. We had Beulah, Hazen, Devil's Lake, which I tell you what has some very good wrestlers. Killdeer. Let me think who else I might be missing. Williams County was there. Let me take a quick peek. I just made a few notes from the tournament. Velva, and I think that pretty much covers it. They had a Friday night. I looked at some of the middle school and JV wrestling stuff, and they had more JV on Saturday. But I tell you what, there's a lot of programs with quite a few kids trying to get some experience out on the mat there.
Yeah, I was happy to see the numbers that Devil's Lake had. A few years ago, that program was way, way down in numbers. Always had a few, pretty tough individuals, but the numbers were way down. And I think junior high up to varsity, I believe they may have had as many as 50 kids in the tournament. So wow. It was great to see. So
sometimes it's a numbers game with all the weight classes. And you got to try to fill them all out. It's not so easy. And them being out east, I tell you what, the East is kind of sporadic when it comes to a lot of good talent. So they could actually do very well in the East and maybe be a dominant team over there. West Fargo's kind of run that for a long time, but as they start splitting schools and having multiple schools, Grand Forks always has great numbers. I'm always impressed with what he does. Grand Forks Central. And you know what? I'm excited because there's going to be some duels this week too. I will be going to Jamestown on Tuesday. Jamestown wrestles Century. And Century's kind of working out their kinks a little bit. They had a captain's practice. They're getting some running, making sure kids make weight and doing all the good things for the first time for them. But other than that, just excited. How about you this week?
Yeah, Tuesday night I'll be at Carrington High School for the first duel of the year,
Oaks,
which is right? Pretty traditional start with Oaks. So there'll be some really good matchups there. Looking forward to that.
I also saw it's going to be on Beck.
Oh yeah, it has been several years. It has been so. So that's good to hear that it is. I do. I'm looking forward to a number of matchups there. I know, Corey always brings a really good squad, and this has been a matchup that we've seen over the years kind of go back and forth, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. So,
yeah, Corey Schall's got a few returning state placers also there, so it should be interesting. Let me talk a little bit about a couple of the wrestlers. I wanted to bring up a name for you, and then maybe you heard me say it, but there was a wrestler from Carrington that looked pretty solid, Michael Clifton. And he was not in my opening rankings. Did I miss him somehow? Or
Michael broke his arm at the Rotary last year, so he missed the rest of the season. So yeah, I had someone else mention that to me. They said, "Boy, I'm sure Michael's got to be ranked high." And I said, "Well, he's probably not ranked at all because he wasn't a returning state placer, but
pretty much from return placing. But he's
a really tough kid." And I've been lucky enough to work with Michael quite a bit through the years as a youth wrestler, and he's grown up. He's gotten big. I mean, that's another piece of the puzzle. But Michael's really talented. He's tough on top. He's solid on his feet. He comes from a real good, strong wrestling family here in Carrington.
He looked like a bull. I tell you what, the Minot wrestlers, Chase Burke, very talented, ranked number 3 in Class A. And he could not break through him. I mean, it was solid. They were butting heads a little bit and trying to shoot straight through him and couldn't do it. Very strong kid at 170. So that's going to be a good wrestler for Carrington as the year goes. Hopefully, he stays healthy this year.
Yeah, I think it will be too. Yeah, and he really had a strong football season. I really enjoyed seeing him on the gridiron. So, but really, where I like to watch Michael is on the wrestling mat, and he's kind of that. Growing up, we saw a lot of through a lot of the Class B towns and schools is he's a really just tough farm kid. He's super strong, just a real natural strength, and he's a hard worker. He's hard working in the room, hard working on the mat, and has a good attitude all the time. So,
well, I tell you what, he was one of my top 3. I started making nominees, and we got some T-shirts made, and I'm getting some out there to some of the wrestlers when I go out this next weekend. I believe I'll be in Grand Forks come Friday. And no, wait, let me think about it. It's already Thanksgiving.
Yeah, probably the next week. Yeah,
got to get through Thanksgiving first, but the following weekend I'll start Friday. Mandan's got its tournament, but Century. Then from there, then the week after that, we go to Grand Forks. It's amazing. Before you know it, you'll be there. But I'll probably be at Century on Friday, the week after Thanksgiving, at watching Century at Mandan. And then on Saturday, if my boy is not there, I'll probably be in Jamestown because I think where Century takes their JV to Jamestown. Okay. So I kind of working out my schedule as it goes, just trying to figure out exactly where I'm going to go live. And most of the places, very interested in getting some of their finals broadcast. I know some people do it, but I'm just starting to get my voice back. So
yeah, it sounds better this week than it did. You're getting stronger.
Getting over a cold. I might be able to start singing on here or something.
There you go.
Well, let's go straight into some of the college stuff that you actually watched a match this afternoon. Talk about the Mary duel. We just had found out that Minot beat Mary in the duel a few minutes ago.
Yeah, it was a really interesting duel. It was kind of back and forth. Minot started out really strong with their light guys, which over the past few years, that's been Mary's strong suit, that 25, 33, 41, 49. The tides have turned a little bit there. Minot won at 25. They won at 33. They won at 41. Then Mary won at 49. Mary won at 57. Mary won at 65. Actually, it's at 165 was a match I was kind of looking for. Of course, that's my kid's weight. And Nathan Baca from Minot's a really tough wrestler, and Dante Springsteen, which is the younger brother of Mary's returning All-American Philip Springsteen. He's at 65 also. He's a transfer from Utah Valley, so a Division I transfer. So I was looking forward to that match, and Dante pretty well controlled that match. He won by major decision. Really looked tough on his feet. And then it was kind of then things got interesting. Austin Eichmann from Mary came out, looked tough, got a takedown, a couple turns. He was up 12-0 going into the second period. And I did not actually know the Minot wrestler, and I can't remember his name, but he picked neutral, ended up throwing a headlock and pinned him in the second period. So that was a big swing. Yeah, it's a that's a 10-point swing at least, because there was no chance that was going to be anything besides a major, it appeared. Could have been a pin, could have been a tech fall, the way that Austin Eichmann was coming along, and Eichmann's looked good. You know, he's a big, strong kid. He's up from 165 last year. So that really kind of made a swing in the duel. Then things kind of even got, I would almost thought, weirder. I thought that Philip Springsteen he's I think ranked 3rd in the country, returning All-American, really a tough wrestler. He's up another weight class this year. And Keegan Berry from Minot came out and really, really looked good. Kind of it's tough to say put it on him. It was a close match, 4-2 or something. But, Philip Springsteen really never looked like he was close to scoring. Keegan looked good. He had more energy at the end. And so that was –
it's a rough start for him.
Yeah. And so then 197 Mary won, but it was 19-13 going into the heavyweight match. We didn't know if we were going to see Jordan Will for the first time of the year or Jake Belland. They kind of weighed them both in, and Jake Belland, the Watford City grad, came out and wrestled and actually was leading a lot of the match. Ended up giving up a takedown at the end and lost, but Minot comes on to win the duel 19-16. So it was pretty exciting for Minot. I was a lot of really good matches. They look pretty good, and I think a lot of us thought Mary, and they still are. I mean, they still have a lot of talent there, and they're gonna Coach Aho will he'll make some changes there, and they're gonna perform better the next time they come out. But it was a really interesting battle.
Well, I tell you what, both those teams have done very well over the last half dozen years, really improving their programs and stepping it up, getting at that D2 level. And we know it's a super region and trying to qualify. I don't even know. I go back to the NAIA days where, if you placed in a bigger tournament, you qualified already, know.
Yep.
And the old NDSU days when they were solid in D2, which was a different level when they faced, Augie and faced St. Cloud and did very well over the years. And them stepping up to D1, and I guess I could talk about that. NDSU lost today to a very tough team. In fact, I looked at the score, and Franek, who is one of my favorites to watch, actually got dominated by the number 3 wrestler.
Ryan Deacon really looked. I did actually watch that duel today too.
No football for you.
No football today. I did get a lot of work done outside too, but there was two matches I wanted to see, so I did get that. And but Ryan Deacon he's ranked number 3. He came out and he put it on Jared pretty good. I kind of expected Jared to keep that a little bit closer, but I think Jared can make that match better in the future. But Deacon looked really good.
At 125, I kind of noticed that they didn't have a guy wrestle.
Yeah, McGuire Midkiff has been their guy the last, been this season. And I did watch NDSU duel Indiana Friday night,
which they won,
and they did forfeit at 25 that night too. I think I don't know. I mean, if there's an injury there, I haven't heard. I'm kind of curious. I was curious if he was going to come out and wrestle today. I thought it would have been good to see him, but
right. Yeah, Northwestern is a high-ranked wrestling team. What are they, 15 or 16 in the nation?
Somewhere in there, I think. And then Cam Sikora actually had a pretty good match. Came out, got the first takedown against Sebastian Rivera. Sebastian Rivera will end up being Northwestern's 25-pounder. I think he's ranked 6th in the country at 25, and he's been wrestling 33 so far.
Right.
But then, Rivera came back and won that match.
I saw that he was ranked actually at 33. They had him as high as number 3 in one of the ranking polls in Win magazine.
Probably at 25 actually. I think.
Probably 25. Okay. Yep. You know your college a little better than I do. I actually, I was feeling embarrassed last week. I decided I better spend a few hours researching my wrestlers again.
Sebastian Rivera. He actually last year was able to beat Spencer Lee twice, which is a 2-time national champion from Iowa.
Right.
And he's tough. I mean, he looks good. He got real big, I think, during the summer. And his descent plan's not letting him get down there quite yet. I do not believe that he'll end up staying up at 133, but he's there now. And he actually, when Sikora got that first turn, I thought, holy cow, maybe he can get something done. Cameron's so tough on top, and
well, that's NDSU's ranked. No, he was ranked pretty high too.
He's 8th, I think. So. So he looks, and he's had, I think every match he's had this year. So for this one, he's won by tech fall. So, kind of fun.
The dual score ended up 28-18, if I remember right. And,
3 pinfalls for the Bison. They got a pinfall at 141 by, Deegan, who's a Montana kid. And then, 165, Fogarty really looked tough. I mean, that was a dominating performance. And then Brendan Metz. Big Metz came out, kind of struggled to get to the legs, tried get into attacks. He got his takedown, and then they were hand fighting a lot on their feet, and he took a little half shot, came up into a over and under position, lateral drop pin. It's kind of a classic Brandon Metz.
But, he actually I joke about him a little bit too, because when he was like an 8th grader, he was just a baby face little kid, and he would try to throw headlocks on anybody, or he pushed me to lateral him, and he was fearless.
He is. That's, I've described him that way many times. He wrestles fearless. So, and he did. That was kind of fun to see. So they did get, they got 3 wins, all 3 by pin, but that was a little bit tougher duel for them. They looked pretty good on Friday night against Indiana. And, now they'll probably get close to starting to wrestle in their Big 12 schedule, I would think.
Okay, yeah, because I think they faced – they're done there for – I think they faced Augie on the 1st, if I remember right. Also.
Oh, do they? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Augustana is, they're making a move up to D1. They're still D2, and they're in this super region with the rest of us. But they – Augustana has had they went out to Arizona State and dueled Arizona State last weekend. Came out, kind of got beat up, but they did win one match out of that duel. But
Arizona State just took it to Penn State. So
speaking of Arizona State, they they came out and beat the Giants there in the duel the other night. So that'll shock the world a little bit. I think there's still, a long season to be had, and I think Penn State's still the tournament team favorite. But that one was kind of an interesting result.
Okay, well, I tell you what, you are the man when it comes to college wrestling. You get to do a good job knowing what's happening. So I'm really happy to have you on here, Bill.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I enjoy it. I like it all at all levels. It's just it's easier for me to watch and follow college wrestling sometimes than it is traveling all over the state watching Class B and Class A wrestling. But I'm going to do that too. So.
Okay, well, I tell you what, if you had an opportunity, if you were brand new hopping online, where would you suggest people to go to get to see some wrestling? To the Dakota Grappler is still pretty new at this, but where did you find stuff?
Yeah, Flow Wrestling is really the number one spot for me. I know there's some people that are hesitant to want to pay go behind the paywall and pay to watch Flow Wrestling, but for me, it's more important to me than having cable TV. I mean, it's I don't know, $10, $12 a month or whatever it comes down to, and I watched the Bison Duel on Flow. I watched tonight later I'll watch the Iowa State Iowa Duel and replay on Flow.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the duel on it's always there. A guy can always go back, and if you're not sitting in front of the TV, you can watch them later. So to me, there's no better place to watch it besides Flow. I will say that if for anybody who's a podcast follower, my buddy Jason Bryant's got the Matt Talk Podcast Network. It's got, I don't know, somewhere around 25 different shows. It's amazing, but he does do a kind of a short deal every night, that comes out either at night or the next morning. It's got all the results from the wrestling, college wrestling from the day before. And he tries to do everything, and it's I don't know how he does it, but he does D2, D3, D1, NAI, junior college if he gets in. Yeah, no, he does junior college too. He'll give all the results. And
That is cool.
yeah, it's 10 or 11 minutes probably every morning that the guy can catch and follow up. So those are, Matt Talk Online is the app I'd go to, and then Flow Wrestling to me is well worth the money.
Well, I tell you what, I had Flow Wrestling a couple of years ago, and my wife said that she kind of likes seeing me every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so I will pop over and get some of their articles and stuff like that. But I should get the subscription again because my wife hates me during wrestling season already. But
right, yeah. No, it's a good place to be.
I always try to now see. I have a freshman, and he gets on and he makes sure that he watches some wrestling stuff. But I'd like to actually show him some of his videos, and I know that his coach and their team is on Huddle now.
Oh, sure.
And so they'll be taping each individual students' matches and so forth. And I believe they're private to themselves. I'm still going to have to look into that a little bit, but I know we can follow his videos and so forth. And so that's something new.
I know a lot of teams, and I believe Carrington still uses it. Use a program called Matt Boss,
okay.
And so does Northern State. So we are able to watch all those matches, after the fact too. One thing I would tell you though, when it comes to following D2 wrestling, the NSIC just about it must be something that's required by the conference, but every match. And every duel, so all those NSC schools, including Northern State, Augustana, Moorhead, Minot Mary, St. Cloud, all the rest of them, all of their duels are streamed live. And generally, and always you can go back and catch those after the fact too. But that's a great place to watch Division II wrestling. Speaking of Division II wrestling, I should throw out one word for former Century grad. Mason Schultz took second at the Augsburg's invitational tournament this weekend. I think he must have went 3-1 with 3 tech falls, or maybe a pin, 2 tech falls, and then he had he lost in the finals, but had a good tournament. So that was good to see.
You comb some results. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I tried to follow as many as I can.
That's okay. Well, let me talk a little bit about the tournament again this weekend, but we're going to visit so many times, and I'm going to try to keep the show is about close to that half-hour range. So we got about a good 7 minutes left, but I'm going to give you the results again of the Minot tournament. And some of you guys, because I do have a newsletter, which if you guys haven't got yet or want to get on the mailing list for, I'm going to have probably a newsletter out at least twice a month, if not every week. I'll have one out by the end of tomorrow. So if you go over to dakotagrappler.com, you'll see a link on the top and you can get the newsletter, and that will have the most up-to-date rankings. It'll have a couple articles. It'll be really short, and that's all free, of course. And then I also, one more thing, the Dakota Grappler hardcover book is scheduled to be in my possession come Wednesday. I'm hoping they said I'm here Tuesday night, but I'll be in Jamestown Tuesday night. Probably have to leave right at the end of when I get done at work at school teaching and cruise straight to Jamestown for the duel. And then, so there's 2 things there. So if you want to also order one of those, feel free, contact me. I do have some digital copies that I can get out to pretty much anybody. If coaches, if you're watching this, contact me. I'll send you a Dakota Grappler also. Get that way. The people that sent them in and the advertisers, of course, they get them. Okay, let's go through the tournament real quick. 106, I'm going to just give a couple of impressions of stuff I saw. Impressed I had in the finals, you had this Colin Dean from Velva, who I didn't know either, wrestled really well. He was an unranked wrestler. In fact, he wasn't in anybody's projections, but he looked really solid, but lost to a ranked wrestler in Class A, that Gabe Mortensen. And so I expect probably for Colin Dean to make his appearance probably in the top 8 of the rankings come the end of tomorrow. At 113, Tristan Lura, I tell you what, he's sneaky tough. He's one of those guys on the mat that you just don't know exactly what position he's going to put some people in. But I notice he's got a nice little single, nice little high crotch through the day. He finishes well, can cradle people up, kind of long a little bit for a 13-pounder, and dominated Colin Steidler, who has some good pedigree and is going to do well as he goes, as he stays at 113 for St. Mary's. So he wrestled well. And in fact, he's the number one kid actually at that weight class right now, 113 in Class B. Then I was pressed a couple different times at 120, another Carrington kid, that Matthew Dusher, and he wrestled Colin Bosch from Beulah Hazen. But this Colin Bosch, man, was he strong. That's a match. If I had to go back, I would probably isolate out on how you just go into a match, don't care who the other wrestlers, and just take it to him. And that's what he did. At the Beulah Hazen, he's ranked 7 in the preseason, and also that Dusher's ranked 4, and he took him to town actually. In the semifinals match, Dusher wrestled a Minot kid and actually probably wore himself out a little bit, but he looked a little tired in the finals. But he's got a lot of talent, and it's just seeing if he can have that extra motor. And I'm guessing that Kerbal will have him there come later.
Yeah, I do have a little inside information there. I won't get too into it, but Matthew did get hurt in that semifinal match. So he was banged up pretty good. I think he'll probably be out for the next few weeks. So
okay, because his wrist, he had taped his wrist.
Yeah.
That was probably it. But he looked pretty war.
Yeah, I was watching that one. I watched the 13-pound match, and I watched the 20-pound match in the final. I was kind of working that day some too, and so I didn't get to see those two. And yeah, I was pretty impressed with the Beulah Hazen kid.
Yep. Okay. And then at 126, you got Brant Fisk from Devil's Lake. Impressed. Some of the Devil's Lake kids look pretty good. So he's got his kids doing really good things. And he wrestled Gus Bomback, who my boy wrestled last year. So it was a good match to start off, but Fisk just had move after move and took it to Bomback and then pinning him. Kelby Armstrong at 132 actually looked like he was a little bit he dominated. He really did. But to me, he's maybe cut a ton of weight in the past, and he looks a little heavy still at 132. I don't know if he could probably be a 26-pounder in my mind, but I can't control that stuff. But he did look really good. 132, we'll see how that muscle goes as the season is, because he's always wrestled smaller kids. He's going to have to out-technique people as it goes. He did wrestle a Velva kid who's got a lot of talent, and again, pedigree, Mogan from Gunnar Mogan from Velva. And then at 138, had a Padden Combs from Minot, kind of a weight class that's still there's a lot of talent out there, but here at this tournament, there's a long ways to go to meet the rest of the state. In reality, that James Richter ended up winning it over Combs. That Richter, he's got some ability, but I guess what? He'll be in the mix. Strong kid from St. Mary's, ended up winning at 38. At 145, Trevin McCanahan from Minot ended up winning that over that Felcleaf from he was from Harvey. Now he's at St. Mary's. Then at 152, you had Winkler from Delax Burlington, a kid that's really long. Impressed the way he wrestled for Delax Burlington. He beat the Tate Ledusher from Turtle Mountain. Then at 1, I got a little note here off to the side, so don't forget everybody. Got another Carrington kid in the finals. Actually, at 160 was a round robin bracket, so I didn't get to see him wrestle, but that Tate
Hogarth,
yep. And so I didn't get to see him in the finals, but sounds like he wrestled pretty good when I talked to a couple of people throughout the day. 170, that's where that Clifton wrestled. I tell you what, he's going to be fun, and he'll be in the mix as the year goes with the rest of the 70-pounders in Class B. And he beat Chase Burke. Chase Burke, he's a firecracker for Minot, and it's going to take. It look like he still has to get into shape a little bit.
I think Napoleon's got a pretty good 170-pounder too.
Yeah, Jangle isn't. Yeah. He doesn't take many losses. In fact, I think. No. You had to look down the Napoleon list. He's probably in the top 5 of wins, and he still has a senior year left. No. He's won a lot of matches. Okay, and then we go 182, that Oakson from Bishop Ryan. Really impressed. He's a big kid. Looked like a 95-pounder in the 82 body. He looked really strong. Colby Rance, who is ranked actually at 170, looked like he was outsized, but got a lot of talent. He's very smooth, very fast, and also as he gets in shape, he's going to be tough. I'm not sure he plans on staying at 82 or going down to 70. I think 70 would suit him better, but you never know. Some people build as the season goes, but he looked a little smaller, probably about a 5'10" range, and Oakson must have been a solid 6'2" plus. So
he's a big kid. He's always been a big kid. Yep.
And then you go to 195. Coy Spooner, he was my MVW of the tournament. He dominated. He looked really good over Jacob Carmichael. Very strong. He's physical, has lots of moves, always seems in the right position. Every once in a while, it seems like he gets heavy on his feet when somebody gets on a high crotch, but he recovers very well. And he just signed again for the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Also, so he's got his college, everything else type of situation, which is kind of cool. I like seeing that some guys still have their senior year left. They've committed to going somewhere.
Yeah,
it means they've got plans, and that's sometimes when it's hard to do when you're in high school.
Yeah.
And then at 220, another weight class, which there's a lot of talent around the state. We still just got to find it out there. And these two, they showed a good match. That was Lockaduk, who ended up losing the match to Ledusher. But, Velva, I think he's going to do pretty good. He's kind of fearless too, but fell behind. And as the season goes, you're going to see a lot of improvement there. And that is about it. There was not a final match at a round robin at heavyweight. So
okay. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a good full day of wrestling. Kind of that's why they call it the early bird. There's some people shaking some rust off, and some kids it sounded like really started the season off pretty strong. And there's a few there I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how Treston comes through the season. I think you're right in a couple of those weight classes. I think there looks like Velva's got a couple pretty good kids. And over the next few weeks we'll get to see some of the kids from Lisbon and Oaks and Napoleon. It'll be fun. And as well as all the Class A, I don't forget about them. I just don't get to see them as often. So
correct. Okay. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, other than that, a couple things you can look forward to here in Dakota Grappler. We're going to wrap up the show. Just make it quick so we can keep lots of topics to talk about. But you're going to see some video stuff. I ordered a what's called a Black Magic board that's going to have me be able to do some more tournament stuff and have some zooming in on some matches. I do already own some cameras, but instead of webcam, we're going to try to get a little more higher quality. Again, this is all just trying to get wrestlers publicity and get them out there so fans can see some wrestling too. Okay. And any last words from you and anything for the week? No,
I'm just excited to see these duels come out on Tuesday, and then we kind of get through this Thanksgiving holiday season and let all the wrestlers get through that and get on to the rest of their season. It seems like there's always this season gets started and it gets interrupted a little bit with Thanksgiving, which is great. We all get to spend some time with family, and then we get to hit her hard after that. The college season, I think there's a little bit of a break now. It'll probably be until that week after Thanksgiving that you'll see, at least on the local Division II side, then there'll be some duels. I think Moorhead and Northern wrestle and duel, I think, on the 5th of December. And I'm sure Marion might not have duels that week too. So it'll be fun to see. I believe maybe right after that might be the Dragon tournament too, Dragon Open. So just excited to be able to get through the next couple of days, get to a duel on Tuesday, and then we can come back and talk about some stuff on Wednesday, hopefully.
Okay, well, thank you again, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of turkey.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody out there again with Dakota Grappler, thank you for coming and watching tonight. We're making it quick, and you guys go down, make sure you subscribe, try to click the bell so you can get notification when we get on. I'm going to try to do a lot of live stuff so I can bother you with all the wrestling stuff in North Dakota. But other than that, thanks again for coming to watch. There's going to be so much happening on here. God bless wrestling. It's here to stay. You guys have a great day.
Have a great night.